But next up, to finish the weekend and to set us up for a great championship showdown, in Taupo, we've got the Haiku Components Formula First. Now, Geordie, what's the latest on the points, mate?
Well, Clint, the points gap between Reece Hendl-Cox and Chris Simon has certainly increased. Obviously, Reece dominating the weekend so far. So that points lead is now up to 92 points. Billy Fraser sits in third. A third of 61 behind Chris. So the top three's it's opened up quite a bit. There's now 153 points between them. Liam Foster, unfortunately, was excluded from the last race for a technical infringement. He's dropped quite a way back in fourth there, 245 points off the lead. So the championships, the gaps have increased over the last two races this weekend. But I'm sure after this race, it'll probably throw up some sort of curveball and it'll be closed back up nice and tight again, ready for Taupo.
So Reece Hendl-Cox has got how many points?
1,096.
And then Chris Simon?
1,004.
Okay. So the battle for this weekend for the last race is what? Who wants to take some momentum down to Bruce McLaren Motorsport Park? Can the Sabre Motorsport Speed Sport Scholarship man Ronan Murphy get up there? What about Amy Smith? She'll be hunting, won't she? They'll all be keen. Billy Fraser, he had some form. Liam Foster on the front row of the grid, 48, 28, Chris Simon. What's going to happen? We're about to find out to wrap up the weekend of racing. Hampton Downs Speedworks Motorsport Championship, Haiku Components, Formula First, and their third and final showdown over the weekend. And here they go, two wide down into turn one, Pirelli.
That's an absolute ripper start, Clint, there from Chris Simon. He is trying to bolt and gone. He is out of there. Liam Foster trying to make up for the exclusion before. And Reece Hendl-Cox, our championship leader, he's there in third. And look for Billy Fraser there. He's been quick all weekend. He'll be trying to hang on to those front guys and perhaps steal a race win. And
I see 91, Ronan Murphy in the Speed Sports Scholarship car. He's having a real good dogfight with another one of the rookie contenders, Thomas Boniface. Obviously, there's been a bit of work to get that car repaired since the last race. But, gee, they were shadowing each other. Bit of moving around the track and making sure the other guy can't get past.
Yeah, unfortunately Thomas Boniface had that rod end failure in the last race and that sent him off into the gravel trap, but he's back out. They got that car repaired and now the Rookie of the Year title commences again with Thomas Boniface looking there on the live stream up the inside of Ronan Murphy down to turn 6.
So watch out for these two, just keep swapping places right throughout this race, and who's going to position themselves to be into that slipstream in the drafting right at the last lap. So here's a great example, and the man who's been really good at this, Reece Hendl-Cox, out of Edgecombe, and he's got real speed at this track. So now here they come. Chris Simon got off to a bolter. Now he's been swamped by Foster and Reece Hendl-Cox. Still maintains that slight advantage, Geordie.
Yeah, he certainly does. I haven't seen Reece run this far down the field all weekend. It's quite different to see him running in third place, but he's right on the back there, and I'm sure by the end of the race he'll be challenging for the lead, and we'll see him potentially clean sweep another weekend at Hampton Downs.
Any particular reason why you guys think that Reece has been, on the pace?
I've watched a bit of his onboard footage over the weekend, and coming from a couple of years ago when he first started out, it was sort of all out of control, and it was still fast, but it never looked like he was in control of the car. And now it's so smooth, so accurate, and he's actually thinking a lot while he's out on the track, as we saw on Saturday afternoon when he backed out to Chris Simon. And it's definitely a much more mature Reece Hendl-Cox than we saw a couple of years ago.
What's he's about? 19 is it?
Yeah, 19 years of age. That's correct. So still very young.
So it's just sort of clicked. Couple of years of racing and then understanding the data, what people have been saying, do this, do that. Okay. Oh, now I get it. Bang.
Yeah, it's a bit of a class where, look at Chris Simon. This is as they go three wide. It's his fifth or sixth season this year, and it's taken him that long to sort of get towards the front. He's always been there or thereabouts, but now he's in the hunt for the championship right at the end of the season. And as I say, it's taken Reece Hendl-Cox 3 years. It's taken Liam Foster 3 or 4 years. It's not something that happens overnight.
This is what I love about this class, the high Q components formula first. You get a couple of laps under their belts and all of a sudden they all start bunching up. They can go too wide, down and towards the hairpin. One of them, Chris Simon, he was off to a nice big lead by himself, and next up he's been swamped because of the slipstreaming and the drafting, and now a one-off battle for the lead becomes a five-way battle for the lead. So we're into it, lads.
It's funny.
Let's get the gloves off, get the elbows out. Here we go. Wrap up the racing.
It's quite funny seeing Reece Hendl-Cox and Billy Fraser there at turn 2 and 3. We'll remember the last race they had it coming together. This race they were, let's just say, giving a lot of room to each other there.
So remember, with this class, with these 1200cc V-dub motors, it's all about racecraft, it's all about positioning, slipstreaming and drafting, and sometimes you don't want to be that man out in front when we come into the last lap. But at the moment, Hendl-Cox, he says, I am the man to win the championship this year. I'm laying down a big stake in the ground. But Liam Foster says, hey, I'll just move that stake and take the lead again. Here we go.
Liam Foster with a big run up the hill there. Absolutely breezed past Reece Hendl-Cox using that draft that we talk about, the hole being punched in the air from the car in front.
And watch out for the blue and white cars. That's Billy Fraser and Amy Smith, 14 and 55. They're going to pick up on this pack here, and suddenly she's going to become, a nice little wee scrap.
Yeah, Amy Smith with a bit of a watching brief. She'll be trying to hold on to them. She's doing the same, similar lap times, so hopefully we see her get right up there and we can have a five-way fight.
Yeah, Thomas Boniface in 67, he's back in P6. He's broken that stranglehold with Ronan Murphy, who's dropped back a bit. He's doing 122.5, Thomas Boniface a 121.5. So there's the green machine, number 67, and Ronan Murphy in the blue car, the Speed Sport Scholarship car, just at the back. That's a good recovery for Thomas.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Obviously, Thomas had a very good run this weekend, 2 DNFs, but it's great to see him out there running around in 6th place. This is good for his rookie chance. He's a position ahead of Ronan, but every point gain that he can make on it will help. And it's really good to see him up the front. He's had a race win before at Pukekohe, and this battle at the front is getting very, very hot, almost 3 wide there as they go into turn 1. Reece Hendl-Cox back in the lead.
Yes, Chris Simon, though, back behind him. And the fastest man on the track, Chris Simon's just done a 120.164. So he's right up behind Reece Hendl-Cox.
That's a good half a second faster than anybody else on the track, so he's definitely got pace there. Chris Simon in 2nd place. He'll be looking to perhaps set Reece Hendl-Cox up like the vice versa that happened in the first race, but this time he's got Liam Foster and Billy Fraser right behind him to contend with as well.
You can see he just positioned himself coming out of that hairpin to stay right behind him in the dipper. Now I want to blow up behind you along the straight and position myself coming out of the Dale ITM sweeper, and says, Billy says, good, you do that. I'll get him behind you. And here we go.
They are right into it, these guys. Coming out of that Porsche dipper, Liam Foster was right up there behind the gearbox of Chris Simon's car, trying to get him behind that draft.
Chris Simon hasn't quite got that draft there at the moment, is he?
No, he's sort of sitting in behind. We'll see what happens coming down the straight when they go past the stripe this time, and we'll see the draft building all the way up the hill.
4 laps to go. It'll be 3 after this. Over the top. Look at that. It didn't look like it down at the start of the straight, but at the end of the straight, totally different looking story, and he has blown past.
So Chris Simon will keep that in his mind there. Just put it in the old memory bank for that last lap. He knows he can draft past Reece coming up that straight, and this time Reece will probably look to do the same, just to play a bit of high-speed chess to see who's going to be there at the last lap.
Right, lap speeds 120.8. The last lap for Simon, his quickest was a 120.1. Hendl-Cox has been pretty consistent, 120.6, 120.9. Quickest lap for Foster, look at that, 120.7. So they're all basically on that same race pace. Even if you look at Billy Fraser, 120.6, Amy Smith, a 120.5. So pace is not a problem. It's all positioning, isn't it, really?
Yeah, at the moment you would say Liam Foster and Reece Hendl-Cox are in the box seat, but that'll change when the last lap comes around. And looking back, Billy Fraser just really with a watching brief, along with Amy Smith and Thomas Boniface. They're just sort of trying to make up points, but it's as we look back through the field, Ronan Murphy under threat here from one of the Sunset drivers, Ron Carter, and that's young Kyan Davies on the screen now, followed by Bob Dillo.
Ronan Murphy, the Speed Sports Scholarship car, number 91, in that fast lane and the learning curve lane. So his speed's a 122.8 last lap.
He's probably perhaps a little bit off the pace of where he'd want to be, but he's holding his own against Ron Carter, who's been in the class a couple of years now.
Sunrise and sunset, the young stars, old cars, and the older boys. So it's great to see them side by side, wheel to wheel, open wheel action to wrap up the racing in Hampton Downs and the Speedworks Motorsport Championship. So now they're all getting pretty keen and eager, coming up and over the rollover part of the circuit, down at turn 3, further back down.
Whoa!
The likes of, who's gone wide there?
That's Bob Dillo. He's run wide trying to pass Kyan Davies. He probably won't be happy about that. I have to say, these people that have hung around in the apartments and the grandstands are going to get a really good race here towards the end.
Right, here we go, 2 laps. It's going to be the last lap board. So Reece Hendl-Cox, he's blown off a bit, hasn't he? He's opened up a nice little wee gap over Chris Simon, but we said that last time, and Simon was able to get the draft and come up over the top of the hill and be in front at the corner.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see if he can do it from that far back. But he might be just positioning Reece Hendl-Cox like he did, like he was done to him in the first race on Saturday. So Reece Hendl-Cox has really backed off going into turn 1. That's all. Who wants to do what? No one wants it.
Cat and mouse. It's all about strategy. Simon, Foster, 3 wide, going down to 2. Who's going to take the lead? Will it be a reluctant leader going into that Dale ITM sweeper for the last time? Last race of the weekend, last corner, and will the lead be good enough to hold on for the win, or will they get done by the slipstream?
How's about that car that you pointed out before there, Clint? Billy Fraser, he is caught right up to them, and they all want to be in that second place as they come.
Here we go, gangbusters. They're all it's like queuing up, isn't it? Feeding time at the zoo. Here we go. Positioning now. Look at Billy. Oh, he's forced Liam Foster slightly wide. Reece Hendl-Cox, he says, okay, you want to do the slipstreaming, I'm just going to try and boot it and break that draft and break that slipstream and make it almost impossible for you. So Fraser and Foster have got tangled up in their own little wee battle here, and they haven't quite been able to get that slipstream and that drafting.
But here we go. It's going to be Chris Simon versus Reece Hendl-Cox up the straight. There's a bit of a gap, and
Hendl-Cox, he said, right boys, too late. I'm gone. Checkered flag time, and he takes it. Yes, that was smart. Too much positioning, forgot about the pace.
Yeah, that's 2 perfect weekends now for Reece Hendl-Cox at Hampton Downs. Last time we were here, we had the same story, clean sweep the weekend. Oh, Thomas Boniface is missing.
Oh, look at that.
He's missing an entire corner of the car there.
That is a canoe. That is the world's fastest canoe.
Wow, what's happened there? Hopefully that's nothing to do with what happened earlier on in the weekend. He's going to drag it across the line, though. I'll give it to him.
Where is it? There he goes. There, look at that. What a way to finish.
That's
just when you thought it was safe to get back motor racing.
I'd like to know where that wheel's gone.
Yeah, that's certainly not gone well for Thomas there. It's another blow to his rookie championship. There's three wheels on his wagon driving around, sparks flying out the back of it.
I'll give it to him. He probably should really pull off into the grass there, but he's going to drag it around.
Good timing, though. I mean, to lose a wheel like that.
That's the Lotus sort of technology going there. Really,
it looks like one of those silly cars they had on Top Gear.
Colin Chapman would be.
So,
really
there's the wheel. So, did he hit the ripples coming out of Porsche Dipper and then rip the wheel off?
I'm trying to think what's come off there. It looks like it's actually spat the whole hub off, as opposed like a broken stub axle, as opposed to the wheel falling off, because it looks like the everything's sort of come with it. So that'll be interesting. I did see Thomas talking the wheel nuts up before the race, so it shouldn't be wheel nuts.
Well, you never know, do you? No, sometimes the old one nut keeping the wheel on.